So what are tennis technique addicts? These are recreational level tennis players who spend a lot of times looking at footage of themselves and sometimes looking at footage of professional level players, and by doing so they are harming their game. Now to some extent it's okay to look at slow motion footage of yourself and of the professional players, but these tennis technique addicts take it to another level. And there's two main types of tennis addicts that I've been able to identify. The first one is the recreational player who obsesses on copying a specific professional player. In most cases it happens to be Roger Federer. And guys, I know I've said this before, but I don't mind repeating it. As much as you try to play like Roger Federer, you won't be able to. In fact, there's no other player apart from Grigor Dimitrov that plays anything like Roger. Just go to your local club and take a look at the recreational level players there. Do you see any Roger Federers out there? No way. And why is this? Because Roger Federer's technique only works for him and it will not fit any other player. See, what I want you to copy from the professional players are the fundamentals. And this is what all high-level players have in common. What you are most likely copying are stylistic individual characteristics of these certain players, and they are not going to fit your body because, like I said, these are individual stylistic characteristics that only suit that specific player. And trust me, I understand why you're trying to copy some of these professional players. Their strokes look stylistic, they look elegant, they look absolutely beautiful, and you want to look the same way. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way in tennis. If you try to copy someone, that stroke is going to look different on you than it's going to look on the professional player. So my advice is that you develop your own style and you learn the fundamentals of the game. And the second type of tennis technique addict is the recreational player who obsesses on trying to learn intuitive elements of the tennis strokes. And there are many of them, but I'm going to give you two examples. The forehand wrist lag and the pronation into the contact and continuing pronation on the serve. This is something that a lot of recreational players are obsessed with, but I can tell you high-level players do not spend 1 second thinking about those things, and I guarantee you that some of the players do not even know what those terms mean. And what are intuitive elements? Basically, it's things that are going to happen naturally if you possess the correct fundamentals and if you have a lot of acceleration in your stroke. For example, on the serve, if you have all the fundamentals down, if you accelerate the serve properly, naturally the racket will be on edge as it comes out of the drop, and there's no other way but to pronate into the contact. Now what happens past this point is what a lot of recreational players are obsessed with, and it is continuing pronation. So continuing pronation will sometimes take place and sometimes it will not take place, even at the elite level. And if you're interested in finding out what will happen to your serve if you try to force the continuing pronation, something that a lot of recreational players are obsessed with, check out my video titled Fake Pronation. And the other example of an intuitive element that you never worry about is the wrist lag on the forehand. This will naturally happen if you possess the right sequencing of the torso rotation. So here is how the wrist lag works. For example, if we stay completely sideways, we will not get a wrist lag. You see, the racket will just basically go from here to here. However, if we start opening up our chest early before the forward phase of the racket, now naturally as we accelerate in this direction, and once that racket starts to go forward, the wrist will naturally lag behind. The acceleration will make the wrist lag behind. This is not something that you have to manufacture at the conscious level. This will naturally happen if you execute your forehand with the correct fundamentals. And one tip that I can give you when it comes to the intuitive parts of your strokes is that if you can see something with the naked eye, this is most likely something that you can work on. However, if you cannot see it, if it's only visible in slow motion, this means that this is going to be accelerating very fast. Therefore, it's most likely an intuitive process. And tennis technique addicts can also sometimes harm a perfectly good stroke. So they're always trying to improve it. They're always trying to add something. They're always trying to tinker with it. And one tip that I can give you is that if a stroke is working, do not touch it. Just leave it alone. You already mastered it. The stroke is most likely automated. Do not spend 1 second thinking about technique, because what's going to happen once you start tinkering with it, you start thinking about the stroke, you might ruin it. At the high level, players do not spend 1 second thinking about technique. If they're thinking something technical, it's in general terms. It is more tactical, strategic. They're not thinking about these small, intricate details of the stroke. All this stuff, it's automated. They know, maybe even at the subconscious level, that if they start messing with their backswing or their wrist lag or their contact point, that something might go wrong. One example I can give you is Serena Williams. When she was playing the US Open a few years back on Arthur Ashe Stadium, after the match they asked her if she can give a serve tip to the audience. And Serena said, when I'm serving, I think of nothing. Now, of course, this is not a great tip because you do need to develop fundamentals. So there's not a tip that you can give to a player expecting them to get better. But I know what Serena means. She really doesn't think of anything. And that's what she said in this interview. If I start thinking about stuff, I start serving worse. So I think of nothing. This is the best tip that I can give you. So what you should take from Serena's statement is what I said before. If your strokes are working, leave them alone. However, many of you do have technical deficiencies on your strokes. So if your strokes are inconsistent, you don't get any power, you do have to make some changes and learn the fundamentals. There's no doubt about that. So if you are a tennis technique addict, this is what you have to do. If your strokes are working okay, I want you to stop obsessing on them or trying to improve them further. They're fine. If you have technical problems, focus on the fundamentals. And yes, it's okay to record yourself. Just don't go overboard. Don't make it a thing where you're stopping your practice every few minutes and looking at your phone. And this disrupts the practice. It takes away from your repetitions. So the more you're doing this with your phone, the less repetitions you're going to get. Remember, tennis is all about reps. You have to hit as many balls as possible to build that muscle memory and learn those correct fundamentals. So my suggestion is the following. Yes, it's okay to record yourself and identify something that you're doing wrong. But then once you've identified it, and don't keep recording yourself. You're not going to fix whatever this thing is that you need to fix in one day or even 1 week. Give yourself some time. Maybe 2 or 3 months of really hard work, a lot of repetitions. You're going to try to play as much as possible and then record yourself again and see if this thing that you're doing wrong has disappeared. This way you're going to keep your reps at a maximum and you're not going to be wasting any of your valuable time.